So Butterfly House. Butterfly House is located in Caulfield South, nestled in a suburban setting, surrounded mainly by freestanding single dwellings. They are 1930s construction that the client liked and asked us to retain as many of its characters as possible. In the top right photos, you see the rear where we have we used to have a asbestos-lined add-on and remnants of an old garage that was removed for the make way for the new extension. Internally, the spaces were quite small and dark, so the brief was to create a new space that was spacious, filled with light, and most importantly, had a feature roof. So in the design process, we started with an idea of creating an element that was actually visible from the street. The ideas here were we moved away from this area because we realized that the rear of the house was going to be blocked off from the front of the house, the external areas. So the design strategy went, okay, we're going to extend the rear of the house, but we want to connect not only the internal spaces, but also the external spaces. Protect the extension from the northern sun with a nice awning roof with a kind of square form, and at the same time find ways of bringing more light into the central area of the house. So we go now with we shifted towards a more subtle design where we wanted just to create this nice welcoming sense of arrival via an awning roof that gave a hint of this new extension. With the client, we went through a lengthy process of looking at different plans. This is COVID times, we're working on Zoom meetings, so working from home office space was chucked in the brief as well. As we're working on these plans and how we get to the right layout that works for our client, we're also thinking about that roof, that square within the square. And this is a sketch that I was actually in a cafe thinking about how do I do this roof, and the serviette kind of peeled in the corner, and then I started thinking, oh, I have to peel this square, you know? And I sketched those actually on that serviette. That's the serviette itself that I scanned and kept it because the idea was quite strong and I wanted to bring it in. So going with that idea of the square, we look at what is typically done with a square. It's just a normal, typical pyramid roof. And I want to bring that, okay, one step back, think about the square. How can I treat that square in a three-dimensional way? Move the corners up and down, connect those corners to create a nice geometrical form that I would know that it would be easy to construct as well. The roof then is this really nice light element that lands on the house. And that's what the butterfly house landed really softly. There are interesting elements we wanted to do with quite much decision to make sure that there was a light form. We moved the columns away from the corner, for example, making sure that that corner was nice and light where the glass met the glass. The ceiling and the eaves are on the same plane to create that continuity from the inside to the outside. And also we wanted to provide ventilation. So knowing that the prevailing wind is north to south, we wanted to prevent having a wind tunnel effect, so we put the windows east and west of the roof. On the detail, we see the modulation, where we got the 1 meter setback where we put the column, another meter where we have the awning, which also then allowed us to minimize the size of triangular glass, which was better to prevent breakage during transport and installation as well, because it was quite a difficult piece. And we have the roof within the roof, from the sketch to the actual drawing. On the left, existing house with its pitched roof. And this is the sketch final sketch we presented to the client. And you can see here the layout. We maintained the existing entry to kind of create two separate areas, which was the night part, the daytime part. We have the access to the bedrooms. The bedroom one is where the living room used to be. The study area is where the dining area used to be. Bedroom 2 was the bedroom we got this done because of sinking. A new master bedroom with more bigger window, access to an ensuite, walking robe, and in that same module we managed to fit in the apartment. Then you got access to the beautiful big space with a long kitchen, coaching capabilities, access to the laundry, which then has its own access to a little courtyard. From here we go to documentation, and you can see that the floor plan is very much as sketched. The main difference being the bedroom 3, the client decided to close it off. And we have the connection, 10 connection we set out to do, which is from the existing to the new area, as well as in external along the western boundary, which is this elevation here. The house then has this really subtle view from the street. This is the view from the street. You see this nice long roof, very quiet. Welcome you to the new extension and giving you a hint of that roof that we've put on. The section, we see how the house, we had to raise it 350 mils because there's a flooding overlay in this area. So we lifted that, and that also kind of helped us lift a bit more the roof to get more access to natural light because there's a big building on one of the sides. Well, a building with a big house. And here we see the effect of that from the existing darker, more smaller areas to the nice, bright, bigger spaces of the new extension. From the roof, we can see access to views of the neighboring trees, the sky, clouds, and provides a nice, open, big space feeling that you get. And concealed LED helps us bring that idea of the square within a square in the internal space, highlighting that square opening on the roof, and also providing a nice indirect light onto the interesting shape of this roof that we created. Doing construction, well, doing coordination with the structural and construction, we wanted to make sure that we're coordinating everything with them to make sure that there's that paper thin effect we wanted on the roof. So we have taped beams, very thin elements on the perimeter to ensure that we have that peeling off effect of the roof. With a conscious and very, I guess, dedicated process, we managed to give our client the dream house. And this is, we believe, a sculptural contribution to the neighborhood and to the streetscape. And I do believe that architecture can be delivered with a limited budget. And I think that this is an example of that.